house that is haunted. Right from the start, dear, built on an acre of sand.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zada.
And I'm Kelly. And you're listening to Two Sides in the Truth.
So glad to have y'all back. We really wanted to make 2 episodes this week, but it's not looking promising.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
But you're getting this, so, you know.
And Kelly brought herself what?
I brought myself a bottle of champagne because I'm ending out my birthday month on a strong note. And champagne is my new, fixation, I guess you can say.
That's a better word than addiction.
It is.
I like it better.
Just thought of that on the spot.
Fixation.
So I thought, what better way than to do this podcast? I'm going to try and drink this entire bottle of champagne. Here we go.
Can you get it open? Oh,
yeah.
I will be drinking this glass of whiskey. You have the champagne.
I didn't even get myself a glass for this. And you know why?
Because you're drinking out of the bottle.
This is why.
We should take a picture of this. We didn't think to set up the camera.
No, we didn't. Sorry, you're not going to get that this time.
Sorry. Okay, y'all. So we have a pretty good show for you today. I'm going to start by telling some kid stories. I'm going to start by talking about, I give our kid a ride home every day. Not every day. Some days he doesn't need a ride home, but I got a little bonus boy I give a ride home to.
Yeah.
And his name is Jace. And Jace is in high school with my kids, and he doesn't need a ride every day. So originally I would text him and his dad, like a group text. I'm like, you need a ride today? Yes. It's pretty simple. Yes or no. But lately he hadn't needed a ride as much because he's got athletic stuff going on.
Yeah.
So the other day I text him and I'm like, hey, you need a ride? And he responds back, I don't need a ride. I-O-N.
I-O-N.
I need a ride.
I don't need a ride.
I don't need a ride.
So is that I don't need a ride?
I had no clue.
I'm gonna need a ride. I don't know which way to go to that.
I didn't know what to do either. And so when I got the text, I was still at work. So I showed my coworker. I was like, what's this mean? And he's my age. He's like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. See, that should have been our first clue.
I don't know.
So I was like, me either. So then I text back. I'm like, hey, can you speak in Gen X and tell me what that means, for other people? And yes or no. Just yes, I need a ride. No, I don't need a ride.
No.
But
or
he's
just YN.
Yes, but he's in school, and they kind of been cracking down on the phones the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess he didn't look at his phone quick enough. So at this point, it's his dad and I on the group text.
And y'all are trying to figure it out?
Yes. And him and I are having a full conversation on group text about what his son meant. And he had no clue either. So he's like, Jace, do you need a ride or not? Jace, what's the plan? Do you need a ride? Nothing. We don't know. And so we're going back and forth. So finally, I look it up on Urban Dictionary. And
Stop.
He did not need a ride.
He did. Thank you, Urban Dictionary.
And so after 2 hours, he finally responds and he's like, I do not need a ride. And I was like, thank you for speaking Gen X to us. We appreciate it because I had no clue what you were saying. But now I'm going to start saying it. I don't need it. I don't need a ride. The other funny kid story is my daughter Zoe, my 26-year-old, who is a very independent. She's a lot. She's a lot.
Uh-huh.
And she's very much her mother's child and then some. She's really Mary's godchild more than she's my child, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
She acts a lot like Mary. So we talk mainly whenever we have almost every 2 or 3 days when I am going into work at 5 a.m. She is getting off of work and just gotten home because she's a bartender.
Yeah.
And so that's when she'll usually call me or text me, but usually call me and we'll just kind of chit chat on my way to work.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that. And we usually do that. So she texted me the other day and her text to me is like, I am so pissed right now. I am so mad. And I'm like, what happened? I'll call you in a minute when I get on the road. So I give her a call. I'm expecting her to complain about her brother because she lives with her brother.
Yeah.
And so I, call. And she says, every ex-boyfriend I have is very happy right now.
Oh, man.
And I don't feel like they should be. I don't think all of them deserve to be happy. And I was like, now, Zoe, that's not very nice. Like, you can't be wishing unhappiness on your exes.
I mean, I know some exes probably push you to want to think that.
Yeah. And she goes, you're right. I just want so-and-so to be unhappy. And he does not deserve happiness. And what's he doing? Being happy. And I do not appreciate it. I said, so the rest of them are allowed to be happy, but he's not allowed to be happy? She was, that's right. That's right. He's a jerk. He's a dick. He doesn't deserve to be happy.
And how old is Zoe?
26.
She's 26.
Yes. And she was like, so then her and I started talking about it. She's talking about how they're all booed up, as she called it. And they all got, significant others. And she was like, and here I am by myself, still nobody. Now, my daughter is a Coyote Ugly bartender. She's a very attractive girl. She was Miss March Coyote Ugly at one point. Like, she's an attractive girl. She could get a boy. She likes the weird boys. She likes the one that looks like he might have just robbed a bank and stopped to get a tattoo on his way home from the bank robbery.
Yeah, I can't see a bad point of that.
I know. Well, to be honest with you, I've dated a few of those myself. And when I was in high school, that was my type. And so I'm like, Zoe, you're not going to meet people when you try to meet people at the bar. Like, you are spending... That's where you socialize, is at the bar because you work there, or you go to the other bars where your friends work.
Yeah,
because once you're in the industry, it's a whole nother world, and I know that because I was in the industry. So I'm just like, this is just the wrong crowd. That's not who you need to be hanging out with. You're not going to meet who you want to meet doing that. You need to meet someone out of the bar industry. You need to meet someone that's not hanging out in the bar all the time. She was like, I know, but where am I supposed to meet them? I was like, I don't know, the grocery store. Go to the grocery store. Yeah. She goes, what am I going to do? You think there's a 26-year-old guy hanging out at the grocery store?
No, but there's probably one buying groceries.
Maybe his dad, and he has more money. I don't know.
Exactly. You're limiting yourself here, okay? That's all you're doing.
And so she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. She won't do dating apps, which I'm happy that she doesn't do dating apps.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So, and her picture has been used to catfish people all over the United States on dating apps. So a few years ago, somebody contacted her and was like, hey, I'm in Chicago right now. And, I looked up, I don't remember which dating app it was, but one of the swipe ones. I looked up, see who's in the area. Well, I'm here for a week. And one of the first people that popped up is you. Are you in Chicago and do you have a new fake name? And she was like, no, what are you talking about? So he screenshot it and he sent it to her. And sure enough, it says that he, is... that she's somebody else. She was like, okay, that's weird. Someone's stolen my picture. Okay. But what are the chances it pops up in Chicago? So then over the next 6 months, she had probably 8 different people from all over the country say, hey, Zoe, your picture's popping up. And it's always a different name. It's a different age. It's a different line of work. It's not always the same pictures. But there is 2 in particular. And one of which she's wearing like a schoolgirl skirt. Funny, that's what they want to use.
Well, duh. It's going to get attention.
It is. So, So she's weary of, obviously, dating sites because she realizes there's probably other people out there with...
Online is a scary place. And you have to have a very strong backbone, and you have to be very savvy to maneuver through anything like that.
Yes.
Anything. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Anything.
Those are horrible enough. And then when you go into the dating world, it's like the dark net of the internet.
And when you're she's in Austin, so it's not as small a city, although it is still a small city. But like when you're in a town like Waxahachie or Ellis County and you want to use a dating site, can you imagine how small that pool is?
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about it.
So... For real. And all of them have dated at least 5 people
Yeah.
So like when we had Kevin Tidwell on the show, the other podcast, and we were talking about him dating, he was like, I feel like I've already gone through my whole dating pool in the area. I was like, hell yeah, you have. You've been single the better part of 30 years. You've dated everybody's, unless they're about to get divorced.
Right. Obviously, there's not what you want around here.
Yes. You have to move to a different area or meet other people that don't want to be on dating apps.
But then again, I think if you go 30 years being single and dating just anybody and everybody, you don't want to settle down.
Exactly. Well, he was saying
you
otherwise.
have a mindset of and if you did, you've done it for so long that you're the kind of person who would get tired of a person in a year or 2 or 3 and then end up, oh, this isn't working for me.
They could have a time period like you with 3 years where you have to trade them in for a new model.
Exactly. That's mine. But I understand what I am.
You got it. I understand my problem.
I don't fight it. I just know that's the way I'm wired, and I know the signs and the symptoms to look for.
Some people trade in cars. Kelly trades in men.
Trade in men. And I've just been keep trading up. Up and up and up.
Up.
It's a pyramid scheme, guys.
You have a goal.
Let me tell you about my pyramid scheme.
I keep trading up. Anyways, I just thought it was a little funny conversation with Zoe and just about dating in general and dating at her age compared to whenever I was her age. Now, granted, when I was her age, I was married with 2 kids. So, not the same thing. Basically, I didn't have to go through that. But everyone was organic. You met people organic. I literally met my ex-husband at the grocery store. Like, you met people organically. But now it's a little different situation. And that's what Zoe said. I want to meet someone organically. I just want to meet someone.
It can be hard to do. And I'm not saying that it's any easier to meet somebody in person than online. But to me, and I have done dating sites before when I was really young, before I was probably just in my 20s, and it was just for fun. Like it was on a dare too. It was like when they first started being a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so me and all of my girlfriends signed up for one all at the same time. Yeah. And so, but it was the scariest thing to me though. Like, and it was fun to like talk and flirt, but then when it actually came down to meeting someone, just like it is now, you get ghosted, like, oh no, I can't do it. You're like, there's too much anxiety or whatever. You're like, you've built this person up and now you don't really want to see if they live up to it. Like it was the same thing then as it is now. But to me back then it was very just, wasn't that big of a deal. I wasn't even really trying to find somebody to date. I was young and crazy. So now thinking back, if I needed to go back to that, if I had to go back to that, if like meeting people organically was just completely off the table, I don't think I could do it. Yeah. Like I'll have to see somebody. I have to get a feel for them. Yeah. I actually even like when other people know who they are so that I can be like, what's this guy all about? Yeah. I like to figure out. Right. That's the way I start liking somebody. I develop crushes on them from being around them and seeing the kind of person they are and how they react to other people. That's what attracts a person to for me. Like is their aura and what they're giving off. And you can't get a sense of that. No. They can, and if there's someone that's like chronically on dating sites, then they've got a whole game they play. They've got a character they're playing, And I did a dating site briefly before I met Rick for a short time, like literally like very short time. And I first joined and also on a dare, and I met someone, and him and I talked for months, just texting like friends. Like he just became like a buddy, Yeah. And finally he was like, do you want to hang out like at some point? And I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, let's hang out. So we hung out. Nice guy. Very nice guy. I can't to this day say anything negative about him. But we hung out quite a bit and started dating, and I did date him for quite a minute. And I go to his house for the first time, and he lived in Midlothian, and we lived, at the time I lived in Red Oak. So it was a minute ago. This is 12, 13 years ago. And so that's about for people that aren't from here, that's about a 25-minute drive probably. Well, from where I was in Red Oak and where he was in Midlothian, it was like a 35-minute drive. Mm-hmm. And so I go to his house for the first time, and I knew he was newly divorced. Like he had just finalized his divorce maybe 6 months before I met him or right around when I met him. I don't know, but they'd been separated for a minute. And so he had this big house because his ex-wife had multiple children. So they had to have enough bedrooms for all her kids. And then they had one kid together. Mm-hmm. So I go over and he has this big, beautiful home. And I go in the home and I'm looking around the house. Like it's the first time I've been over there. And at this point, him and I have been talking for 8 months. Like I just hadn't been to his house, So I'm looking around his house and I'm looking around and I see a picture of someone I went to high school with. Uh-oh.
And she's like in a background of a picture, like a family photo of like maybe 10 people. And I'm like, how do you know her?
Uh-oh.
He says, well, I wasn't sure how to tell you this. That's my ex-wife. I was like, the one you just divorced that you have a kid with? Yes. I was like, so I grew up with and know well your ex-wife? Yes. Here was what made it worse, is that I knew that she was cheating on him for the last 2 years of their marriage. Because she was cheating with multiple someones I know.
Oh, no.
You could probably guess one or two. And so I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And so then I was stuck with the thing, like, do I tell him what I know? And I didn't. I just felt like it wasn't my place. And I didn't care if we were talking or not. They were already divorced.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Yeah.
But I knew so much about her that he would not. And they divorced because he caught her cheating, but not with the guys I knew about.
Oh, man.
It was someone else.
Golly.
Anyway, yeah.
How many people does a person need at one time?
Exactly. So we date, for the next 6 months probably, and I really liked him, and he just kind of stopped texting as much, and he just kind of slowly faded out of sight. I was like, I guess he's lost interest. Like, I don't know what just happened. And because we had a really good connection, like we were getting along great. And so he just kind of disappeared, and I was like, all right, I guess that's over. And so fast forward to many years later, and I randomly get a message from him many years later. And I'm talking like 7 years later.
Wow.
He's like, I just want to apologize for what happened. And da-da-da-da. And I was like, hey, you do you, whatever. I'm sure you had a reason. I mean, if we were meant together, we'd be together. Yeah. Fine. I don't care. And I'd met Rick at that point. So I was like, I'm with someone. Like, I found someone. So it's cool.
Yeah, so I'm good.
And he had gone back to his wife.
Oh, see, I was thinking that in the back of my head. That's usually
our ex-wife. They were divorced.
Thing.
And once again, they broke up because he again caught her cheating.
I don't get that. I mean, I do. I understand that, love and lust and your feelings, they can make you do some insane
his
things.
way of seeing it was she got custody of their child, and she was bringing a lot of men in the home. I mean, a lot. And I knew about more than he knew about. So I know it was a legit issue.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like she'd date him a week and she'd move him into their 2-bedroom apartment that had 3 teenagers in it. Like, it was bad. And because she was the moneymaker. So, he was. So he kept the house and she moved into an apartment. And I never told him anything I knew. And, we stayed friendly with one another. He understood I was dating Rick and, whatever it is. So that was one story. So I met another person on a dating website. I can't remember if it was before or after him that I met this guy. Oh, I think it was before him. And he was from New York. And these are the only 2 people that I can remember that I even talked to, really, because I'd get so turned off by the dick pics and all this stuff. And I was on there all of maybe a week and a half, and then I met 2 people. And so this one, he was from New York. He had moved here because his ex-wife had moved here to Dallas, to North Dallas, actually. And you know what? I still lived in North Dallas. It was definitely before him. And it lasted like 3 days on the site. And he was, moved here to be near his kids. She had taken him here without asking him. And, he was trying to get partial custody, and she was keeping the kids and da-da-da-da. So, sad story, whatever. So we decided to go on a date, but I'm going to drive myself. Like, I'm not comfortable, whatever. So we do that. We drive ourselves. I meet him there for the date and everything. And something's off. Like, something's off. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, I don't trust this guy. I just don't trust him. So I leave the date like this. I'm not talking to this guy again. Like, there's something up. And about 2 weeks later, I don't talk to him again. He tried. I just ignored him. Mm-hmm. And then, I kind of said something, but I was like, basically, I'm not interested.
We done.
Yeah. So like 2 weeks later, I get a message from a woman. And the woman is like, you were dating my boyfriend when I was in jail. Oh. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm like, who's your boyfriend? Because I was very single at the time. So I was dating a lot of people. And I'm like, who's your boyfriend?
You have to be more specific.
Yeah. So she tells me her boyfriend is. And I was like, I knew something was up with him, but I didn't know what it was. So we just went on one date and I wasn't interested, And she goes, oh, yeah, I was in jail, blah, blah. And she just sounds crazier and crazier and crazier. But as she's telling me stuff, she's telling me stuff about him. Like, he's got a meth issue. Like, stuff I would have never known. Mm-hmm. He doesn't live in an apartment. He lives in a weekly rental, like, hotel rental. Like he's just a completely different guy than what he presented himself as.
Oh yeah,
that's when I was like, I'm done with this dating sites.
These
are not working for me.
You can present yourself whoever you want to be when you're on the internet. You know, once you take away that in person, I mean, you can be freaking the king of somewhere if you try hard enough. You know?
Yeah, you can say anything you want to say.
It's insane. That's one of the reasons I can't wrap my head around that much power and just like, and at the same time, just like empty, unknown. You know, that it gives me too much anxiety how vast and crazy the internet is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I just don't even touch it.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny is that the guy tried to like hit me up again, and I blocked him on like social media, and I guess he made a new account and found me and sent me a message years later. I'm talking like maybe 4 years ago.
Wow.
And found me and like sent me a message apologizing and, you know, I guess trying to like talk to me again. I was like, dude, A, I got a boyfriend, and B, fuck you.
Right.
Nasty ass. I was like, we're not in the same playing field, dude.
Nope.
Don't message me again. I blocked you for a reason, you know? So yeah, I'm not a big dating site person. Too many.
Hats off to you guys that try.
Yeah. Okay? I mean, I'm curious what people do now. Like,
scares me.
Yeah. It's just a whole nother world now.
Unless and I'm not saying that everybody uses it just as hookup, but from what I have seen and what I have heard, it is the vast majority. Like it is a
hookup site. Yeah.
So if that is what you're looking for, which there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever stage in life you're at, have at it. Just be honest about it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's just it. Is that I always feel like if it's someone like when I started dating Rick, I was like, "Have you ever been on a dating website?" And he was like, "No." And I do believe him because I was his neighbor, so he would have shown up on mine at the time that I was on it, and I would have swiped on him or whatever. They didn't have swipe left or right back then. Those sites didn't exist yet.
No, you had to just message a person.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, and I would have been all over that. And
oh, we know.
But he I don't think he was like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. Blah 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 blah.
I could definitely see him not wanting to put forth the effort to do
hell no,
like that.
no. And I was like, good, okay, then we can talk because I did not want to date someone on a dating site here locally because I know it's a hookup site and I know he's probably slept with 10 people I know.
Wow.
And I don't want to know 10 people that my significant other has slept with. You know what I mean? Like,
me neither. That's
there's going to be one or two that might slip through the cracks, but you know, like the one that continually got invited to family events of his. But, you know, I don't want to know. I don't need to know these people.
No.
No dating sites for me. So I don't know what Zoe's going to do. She's like, I'm going to be single forever. I was like, you've kind of manifested that. So I don't feel sorry for you because you have said since you were a kid, I'm not marrying anyone that can't buy me a Tiffany's ring. I was like, girl, that's a real small percentage of the population.
Yeah. Just put yourself in a very small pool.
She didn't even care about Tiffany. She was doing that to purposely make herself be known she wasn't planning to marry. That was more what she was saying.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
Well, and that's okay. You don't have to, but then you have to be okay with that lifestyle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like I am. Like I don't have any plans to remarry. That doesn't mean that I don't want a serious relationship. I love serious relationships. I'm very happy in the one I'm in. But do I see myself getting married? No, that's not something that I am going to do.
Right.
And that's okay. You have to be okay with that though. Once you make a decision to do something, you got to do it. You got to be all right with it.
Committed to it.
You know? And so maybe it's good that she's going through this right now because you need some real self-evaluation when it comes to deciding what you're going to want when it comes to the future and relationships. Because if you don't, then anytime that you do spend with another person, not that it's wasted time, but like, do you really want to waste somebody else's time when you know that you're not going to give them what they want?
Well, and Zoe is she's always had serial monogamous relationships. Up until 3 years ago, she always had a boyfriend. And it'd be a long-time boyfriend. And, you know, she was average about 3 years. Same thing. You know, 2-3 years. That was her average. And then something happened. She'd break it off with him. And it was usually nothing. Like, not even a big deal. Like, her little high school boyfriend, sweetest kid. She was like, no, I'm not marrying my high school boyfriend. We got to break up. Like, that was the only reason.
Man.
Now, granted, I did maybe instill that in her. But, you know, I appreciate the fact that that's what she wanted. And she said, that's what I want. Okay, good choice. you know. But the other ones, she broke up with the other ones for other reasons that were really silly. And I was just like, you think you want a boyfriend, but you don't. Mm-mm. Because you never break up because something big happened. There's only one I can think of that something big happened. And that's the one she does not wish happiness on, you know. So I wish happiness for him.
Me too.
I feel like everybody deserves to grow.
I wish happiness for pretty much all of my exes. It doesn't really matter because anything that you do hold on to like that, why would you do that? Like,
right.
Even though somebody did you wrong, like, why would you hold on to that? That's only giving that power over you.
Yeah.
That it doesn't deserve.
No,
so even my ex-husband, like, even though I feel like I was a complete waste of time to him, and why did you even marry me if you knew I wasn't going to make you happy? Like, why would you do that? Why would you put me through that? But
right.
It doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, I'm happy, and I don't even know anything about his situation. I've never tried to know. I've never asked anybody. I don't have social media, so there's no way that I could see.
Yeah, you just wash your hands of it.
I don't. He doesn't even get like thoughts ever.
Right.
It's like it never even happened to me because that's how I want it to be.
I'm the same way with my ex-husband. Honestly, I've blocked out most of our marriage. I struggle remembering some of it. But that was one of the things I was going to talk about today is I spent Monday all day with my ex-husband and Zaylee, my third child. She was showing rabbits at the livestock show. And she wanted her dad to come. And her dad the last year has been way more present in her life and showing up. So I always invite him, but he just didn't always come. But he's been taking off and coming to things. And
wow.
I'm very happy about that. And so, you know, we invited him to come. Rick had to work, so he couldn't come. His wife had to work, so she couldn't come. My other kid had school. So it's only the three of us that could go. Well, he doesn't know anybody. I'm not going to be like, go sit by yourself. I'm like, I mean, that's my kid's dad, you know, and she doesn't want that for him. She's going to feel like she doesn't know where to sit or that she has to entertain him. She won't be worried about me. She'd be worried about him because he's not social. And let's be honest, I knew everybody at the damn place, like everybody.
Yeah.
Zaylee had someone walk up to her and say, "Oh, you've got to be Zada's daughter. You look just like her." She's like, "Yes, I am." "Oh, man, I love your mom. We went to high school together. Tell her, you know, I said hi." I said, "Who was it?" "I don't know." I have no idea who it was, but thanks, whoever it was. But there were some friends of mine there, so I hung out with my friends a lot and, you know, whenever, whatever. But I brought everything you need. So when you do any kind of like a livestock show or anything, it's just like a soccer game and everything, like a tournament. Like you got to bring shit for the whole day.
Yeah.
So I brought chairs. I brought a cooler full of food. I brought water. I brought just comfort items so we could sit comfortably throughout the day and not be hungry or bored or not spend a ton of money on food there and that kind of stuff. And so I know my ex-husband. I knew he wouldn't have a fold-out chair because he's not an outdoor person. So why would he own a fold-out chair? Obviously, I own 500 fold-out chairs.
So we are outdoor people.
I know. And so I was like, and I actually lost most of mine because I left them at my cousin's house after my brother's funeral. And I just was like, y'all can just keep them. I'll get more later. And so I brought 3 chairs knowing he was going to need a chair, you know. And I brought snacks and I brought water. And so when he got there, I was like, hey, you can have a seat in one of these chairs. You can have anything you want in that cooler. You do not need to ask me. You can have the water. Now, mind you, we have not been alone. Like, we weren't alone because my daughter was there. But, like, we have not been in a room together where we've had a conversation more than 5 words in about 15 years.
Wow.
We had a very difficult first 10 years of divorce. And wasn't pleasant. But he remarried. He's now on his 3rd wife. And she has made life a lot easier compared to the second one. And I really appreciate her for making things easier. She's a lot more pleasant human being. And she tries to co-parent. And my kids love her. And she loves them. I truly believe she loves them. So how can I be upset?
Right.
Like, hell yeah. And because we've experienced the bad stepmom. I know how bad it can get. So I'm taking this good one. I'm going to be nice to her. And I'm going to be nice to him if it means he's nice to my kids and he's showing up.
Yeah.
You know? So he shows up. And, you know, he was cautious. He didn't just like get in the cooler.
Yeah.
Like basically the kids would get something out because eventually I had to pick up my son and he came and joined us too. And they would get something out like, Dad, eat some. This is good. Eat this. And he would, you know, and which is cool. But I did not expect him to want to like sit in the camp the whole time with us. I thought he would kind of like wander around or him and Zaylee might wander around, whatever. You know what I mean? No. If I wouldn't stood over there, he wouldn't stood with me and talked to me. I didn't mind. Like, we got along fine. It was what it should be. That's what co-parenting should look like.
Yeah.
Because Zaylee is looking and seeing her parents being civil, getting along, helping one another, whatever the case is. And so Zaylee goes with her dad to she shows him to the bathroom area, you know. So they're coming back and they have a merch area where they're selling shirts and hats, whatever. And so as we're passing that, Zaylee's like, I'm at the camp thing. So they come back and Zaylee's like, they got a merch area. Will you get me something? Because I'm the parent that buys everything, you know. I'm like, yeah, we'll go get you something. Let's go. So we get up to go over there and her dad goes with us. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird.
Like, what is happening?
So weird. And I'm like, okay. So we go over there and she's like, oh, I really want this hat. And I was like, all right, you know, you sure you want a hat? Because I'll buy you a shirt if you want a shirt. She was like, oh, I don't know. So she starts looking at the shirts. And I was like, if you want the hat, get the hat. Whatever you want to get, I'll get you something. So she picks the hat and her dad goes, I'll get you the shirt. Your mom get you the hat and I'll get you the shirt.
Aww.
And her face lit up.
That is so sweet.
I was giving Scott some brownie points because that is the dad I knew. When we were married, he was a fantastic dad. I did not know bad dad till he was married to second wife.
Right.
And so it's good to see glimmer of old dad.
Yeah.
You know? And he's been doing that lately. Like, he's definitely been stepping up.
That's good.
And the kids see it. I see it. My older kids see it. And they're happy about it, even though they didn't get it.
Yeah.
They're happy their siblings are getting it.
That's good.
You know? So we both bought merch for her. And then as I'm checking out, they have a hat that I knew Rick would like. So I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this hat too for Rick. And as we're walking away, Scott was like, that's really great. You're getting Rick something. I bet he's really going to like that. I was like, this is so weird. I don't even. Okay. So then this couple that I know that's there and their daughter's showing rabbits and they're friends of mine and I grew up with them. And the husband and I are standing there talking and he has his adult son that he had with another friend of mine from high school, his first wife. And they're friendly. They co-parent great. Everything's wonderful among them. So his son's like 27 and he's standing there, grown ass man, you know, and we're all watching the show and talking. And so he says, he said, who are you here with? Who was all here with y'all? And I said, you know, just Zaylee and me and my ex-husband, like her dad showed up, you know. What? Because everybody knows it was a messy ass divorce. Like, anyone that knows me knows how messy it was. Like, his second wife really put me through the ringer and my children through it. He was like, what? Are you kidding? He's here? Why is he here? I was like, he showed up for her. Like, he's doing better. He's got a good wife now. And he's really like showing up. Okay. Well, I mean, you need us to take care of something. I was like, no,
we got your back.
I was like, no, things
just
are
say
going
the word.
good.
Pineapples. We're at it.
We're at it. But it went really well. Our little rabbits did not place. I will tell you, I am still have stupid guilt over this. So I'm just going to put this out there. I feel so bad about this. I really thought we were going to I wanted to keep Theodore, the one that I loved.
Yeah.
But I was so in the dark. This is our first year to do it. And I just really didn't know what my options were.
Yeah.
And Rick kind of was like on and off again about if you want to keep it if you can type thing. But he didn't really like go into it. And I travel a lot, you know. I go in the summer, I'm gone a lot. So I was like, this is a commitment. Like, this is an animal. This is a commitment.
Yeah.
And these animals have to be fed twice a day. There is no skipping a day. Like a cat, you can give them food for the weekend and they're good. Mm-hmm. You can't do that with a bunny, you know. So it requires a level of commitment. I really love the bunny, so I was debating on it. And I was like, maybe I could work that out. Like, I'm thinking of what my options are, you know. But how does it work and what are our options? And you don't know what your options are till you win or you don't. Because that determines your options. We did not win. And they were like, okay, take your bunnies back to that trailer back there. I was like, okay. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing. Take them out there. We're giving them to them. And I didn't know what I was doing. And at this point, Theodore is in there with other rabbits, and I can't tell which one is Theodore. They all look alike.
Oh, no.
They all came from the same breeder. So then I'm like, well, which one's Theodore? So I'm like, okay, if he comes to me, it's meant to be. So I because he would come to me in the garage. Like, as soon as I walk out in the garage, he'd get all excited. and I could go to his cage and I could put my finger in it. He'd come and like kiss on my finger. So I was like, I'll know, because the other rabbits won't do that.
No.
You know? And so I go to the cage and I put my finger in, and I'm like, come here, Theodore, come here. Trying to get one. I don't know if he was just scared. Nobody was coming. I couldn't figure out which damn rabbit. And I had 2 of my 4 rabbits weighed exactly the same, like exactly 5 pounds on the dot, which is the most they can weigh. And he was one of those 2. But then the other one, the third one, is just literally a millisecond tinier than them, like barely, so you can't see it. So I had 3 rabbits. I had to figure it out which one he was, and none were biting. So I was either going to have to take home 3 or none. And then what am I going to do with 3? Like, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
And at this point, Theodore is humping all day long. It's the first time they've been joined together and they're not in separate cages. And Theodore is humping everybody.
Everybody.
He's humping their head. He's humping their side. I think they're all boys. I don't know. So then I'm like, if I take home the wrong rabbit, it could be pregnant and I might have a whole nother problem here.
Oh my gosh.
So I kind of freaked out. Didn't know what to do. I tried to call Rick. He didn't answer. Zaylee didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I let him have the rabbits. I was like, this is what we never agreed we were keeping a rabbit. Like, I never agreed to this. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have to make a decision right now.
Right.
Sooner as I got back to the truck, I was like, I hate myself. I should have kept that rabbit.
Aww.
So I was like, no. So I'm telling the kids, it's okay. Because they were upset. They weren't crying, but they were like, we know how this works. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, that was Monday. It is Wednesday. I'm still a little teary. I know that poor rabbit went to the meat farm.
I bet he's
having a great time at the amusement park, as I told my children.
He's just living the bunny life.
He is living the best bunny life possibly in heaven.
Oh my gosh.
I feel bad.
The circle of life.
The circle of life. So the other thing that we're going to talk about today, Kelly's got a really good subject.
I do.
You do.
So we talk about being a woman's woman on this podcast, and we even, talk about how, we talk to our girlfriends and how we build them up. But I wanted to talk about really what it is to be a woman's woman. How do you do that? Because that doesn't come necessarily naturally to just anybody. And for different reasons. Maybe it is intimidating to you. Maybe it is something that you never saw, so you didn't really pick up on how to, be a woman's woman and how to feel confident enough to be one, because it takes a level of confidence in yourself to be able to be a woman's woman.
Definitely.
Honestly and truthfully.
Definitely.
Because you can be a fake woman's woman. And it's pretty obvious sometimes when that is the case, but sometimes it's not, because sometimes it is a fake it till you make it kind of thing. If you don't know how to do something, you're just,
and I think some women think they're a woman's woman.
Yes.
Because they don't know what it means.
Yeah. And maybe you are in some aspects, but maybe you're not, and just because you have women around you or you have this big women's group, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're women's women. You could be a group of people who actually tear down women. Because if you're standing and you see a woman approaching you, what are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts
about that woman?
And
what are your initial thoughts? There's 2 ways to look at it. What's your initial thoughts when you see a very attractive woman, like well put together,
or an unattractive woman?
Well, that's what I say. That's the other end of the spectrum. When you see a woman that might be struggling with something in her life, it might show in her appearance. What are your first thoughts? And if your first thoughts are negative, you're not a woman's woman.
Nope. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We're not tearing you down for that, because another part of being a woman's woman is self-evaluation, because that's how you figure out where you are to begin with. And we all have that tendency to negativity, and we all have that tendency to judge, because that is just human nature. It's innate in us. Okay. Yeah. So it's not a negative thing if that's where your brain goes, and you shouldn't think badly about yourself. You should just take that into consideration and figure out, okay, what do I need to do with this? Where do I need to go from here to make myself a better person? Because if I'm thinking negative thoughts about this beautiful woman, because I feel inadequate in some way because she's wonderful, that's not a good thing. It's a natural reaction,
right?
But it's not where you need to leave your brain. You don't need to leave it there. You don't need to scorn her in your head or think or break her down in your head to make yourself feel better and then just leave it at that.
Right.
You need to figure out why you thought that way and what are some things that you can do to train your brain in a correct way so that you don't see people as competition.
Well, and I always look at it, and I mean, I have children, you don't, but I have daughters, and I always look at it like, what am I teaching my daughters when my first thought is negative about other women? Mm-hmm. And when I was married, my ex-husband was really judgmental. I've talked about this before. He's very judgmental of other people. And I always found a problem with that. I did not appreciate that about him. You know what I mean? And what it did was it tore me down. So he wasn't talking negative about me. He was talking negative about other people, but I'm seeing myself in them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if she's overweight, I'm overweight. If her hair is ugly, my hair is ugly. If this is a problem, I have, you know what I mean? Like, you're just constantly, you know what I mean? And sometimes I think he did it to build me up in his head. He was like, you're so beautiful. You don't need makeup. Some women need makeup, and that's because they're ugly. What? Mm-mm. What? Yeah. And, no. Yeah. And so I would see myself as being a problem. Like, I was never good enough. And I had to deprogram myself from that when we got divorced. Yeah. And
that takes some time. And so if you're in an environment where maybe you didn't see other women supporting other women in a healthy way, and you don't know where to start with that, it really starts with very basic with you etiquette. Yes. And learning how to address people in public. And I don't really always think about online because I don't interact with people online, but you should definitely be being more positive and helpful and supportive of people online. But just in every day and walking around, and I practice whenever I go on any kind of errand or to the grocery store. Most people, 90% of people, when they're out, they're very engrossed in their phone. So you don't even get 90% of people's attention. But the small percentage that you do, I never really have my phone in my hand or anything when I'm walking around. I like to be alert for my safety and for everybody else's. My phone is usually in my pocket when I'm doing anything. I only get my phone out when it rings or when it messages or whatever. So when I'm walking around in a store, one of the easiest and most respectful things that you can do to a person is look them in the eye and look at them. Okay, because most people, that right there is too hard for people to do. To make eye contact with people can be very hard for people to do.
Right.
A lot of people can't do it. That's why they are on their phones, or they're looking away, or they're looking down, or they're focusing on something else, because eye contact like that is very hard for the average person to do.
Yeah.
So I make myself look people in the face and smile at them. That's a very simple thing, but oh my gosh, if you actually try to do it, it's very difficult to do. It can be very intimidating, but I do that on purpose. One of them is for safety reasons. I like for people to know that I am noticing you. Yeah. I'm noticing any attention that you're giving me. I see your face. I could explain your face to a police sketch artist. I know what you're wearing.
I can't. Even if I stare, I'll forget.
But another one though is it's just the simplest form of respect that you can show somebody when you're passing another human being in life is to acknowledge their existence, look them in the eye, and smile at them. Yeah. Sometimes that leads to a hi or a hello or how are you doing today? And then you're in conversation. There's the next step. Conversation can be very intimidating to people. It can be very hard for someone to say hi to another person, or how are you doing, or to pay them a compliment, give them a compliment or introduce yourself. But really, those basic human steps are where it starts when you're wanting to be a woman's woman, or even just anybody.
Really, I will say that I personally think the best, if you are a woman that struggles making woman friends, and you are self-assessing yourself, like Kelly said, and you're like, okay, am I part of the problem? Because we're bred that way.
Oh, yeah.
We're bred to be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
We're
women. Of course
we're being told what's wrong with every woman around us. Mm-hmm. And when we were growing up, it wasn't about that you were so great. It was like, you're great because this person's not. Oh, but look at, look at her. Her hair is horrible. Or she's, this. Her body's this. What people would build you up by tearing other people down.
Yep.
This is how it works. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've tried really hard to not tear other people down to build my daughters up. But I've also tried not to tear other people down to build myself up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I meet women, I try to compliment them. Whatever I can find to compliment on them, which is really not hard. Most women are beautiful. And it may not be beautiful like you see in a magazine, but if you've met women that have been in magazines, They don't look like that. Just putting that out there.
Exactly.
But, letting them know that they're beautiful. And that is your first in on complimenting a woman. Because once they hear that you find something about them beautiful or intriguing or whatever the case is, they take their guard down.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
It opens
and then they
up,
look for positive in you.
They do.
Because they're bred the same way you are.
They sure are.
It
can be something as simple as that. And I'd say that because I went out today had to run a few errands. And in that time, I had two different women compliment me. One complimented me on my outfit and the other complimented me, just said that I was beautiful, something like that.
Yeah.
And you might not think something like that would make a very big difference, but it really does.
Makes you feel good.
It really does.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to then put that out? Because you saw how that small of a
Made you
compliment
feel.
Impacted you. It automatically makes me want to compliment the next woman I saw. The next woman I saw, I was giving a compliment to, because it's almost like a tag your it game kind of thing. Like, I just got a compliment. I need to go give somebody, I need to pass this on.
Yeah.
And that's amazing energy. That is the energy that you get from being a woman's woman. It is a power that so many people do not tap into because they're too nervous or they're too focused on themselves or they're too worried about they have a million things going on, so they're not paying attention to the women around them.
I'm not going to build her up because it tears me down.
Or
my head.
they just don't know how to do that with. Right. They feel like they're not as important or they're not as special or they're not as sexy if they're telling another woman that they are. Yeah. I'm like, of course you are. That is a wonderful power that you have, and you're going to give it to somebody, and other people are going to give it to you because you radiate that. Once you start doing that and you start believing that you are wonderful and you have this power within you, and we are all supposed to be sharing that with one another. Why wouldn't you want to tap into that? Right. You are doing yourself a great disservice if you're not trying to better yourself into becoming more of a woman's woman. And
it's funny because when you say that, I just flash back. And I think about this often, honestly. Literally thought about this the other day. When I was in high school, I went to Lollapalooza, the very first Lollapalooza, so 1990 or 91. So this is obviously over 30 years ago. This is like Kelly's lifetime. And I know it was Lollapalooza 1. It was Jane's Addiction. And so I go to the concert, and I'm wearing jean cutoff shorts and this maroon fitted shirt and my Doc Martens that are maroon. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I had my hair down, I'm sure. And I know what I was wearing that day. Only because the reason I remember what I wore that day is because 7-8 months later, months and months later, I changed schools. And I went one semester to school in Garland, Texas, which is about 45 minutes from here. Other than that, I pretty much grew up in Red Oak. And I lived with my dad for a semester. And my very first day of school, I wore that shirt. And I walk into the school, and I get about 20 feet. I'm like, I'm not even registered yet. Like, my dad and I are walking in to register me. And this girl comes, it's in between classes. So this girl comes around the corner and like stops dead in her tracks and looks at me. So it's a 45-minute drive. It's on the other side of Dallas. Like, this is nowhere near close to us. And this girl just stops dead in her tracks. And she goes, "Did you go to Lollapalooza a few months ago?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You were wearing that shirt?" I said, Yeah, I was. I could not keep my eyes off you all day. You were the prettiest girl at Lollapalooza. I could not stop staring at you. All my friends couldn't stop talking about you. All day long, every time we saw you, we were like, "There's the pretty girl. There's the pretty girl." And I was like, "What?" Because all my friends are beautiful. Like, and I'm just in one of many girls. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a sea of girls.
It's a sea of wonderful women. And the same friends I have now, And I was like, "What?" And I mean, I'm obviously taken aback. It's been over 30 years. I can remember this moment like it was yesterday because it meant so much to me that in a sea of people at a concert, this girl and her friends decided I was the prettiest girl at the show. Aww. And 8 months later, she sees me in a hallway, sees my shirt, looks at my face, says, "I know you."
Wow.
I stared at you all day. And
non-creeper way. I'm sorry.
It wasn't, we ended up being good. That ended up being my first friend there, and we hung out all the time.
Cool.
Yeah. And her name was Sarah. I will not forget. And we became friends. We went to concerts together. We hung out together. I became part of her group when I went there, and they welcomed me in. But she literally, her hello to me was a compliment, and a big one. That's a massive compliment. Like, I was so taken aback. And I know how good it made me feel, so I can only imagine how that makes other people feel. Yeah. And you don't know what they're going through at that moment, that maybe they really need to hear that. So I really feel like a compliment is the best in on being a good woman's woman.
It really is. It's almost like a peace treaty between nations. Like, when you're first meeting and you're like, I don't know, should we attack? Should we not attack? Are they going to attack us? Should we attack them before they attack us?
Right.
It's just like run up the white flag with a compliment, and then boom, now we can be an allied nation.
You're right. You're right. And like when I met you, Kelly would come into the bar that I worked in, and there's only two of us working besides the bouncer, but like there's only a bartender and me basically, and Kelly would come in on Thursdays. And Kelly was beautiful. Like she's beautiful. Aww. So she would come in and she stands out in the room, and she would be so friendly with me and so like engaging. You're engaging and like, we're going to be friends. Let's be friends. Da, 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 da. A lot of women though had a problem with Kelly, and a lot of women had a problem with me.
Yep.
Because there was an intimidation factor. They're all just as pretty. Like they're just have decided she's too pretty. I don't want to be her friend. There's something wrong with her. Whereas you were like, I want to be your friend when we hang out.
I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend.
Yes.
I want to be your friend. Hold on. I'm going to get over there to that side of the room too. I want to be your friend too.
Yes. And so I really feel like that's the end. And I've met some of those beautiful women by just complimenting them. And I mean, beautiful inside and out, all aspects. I mean, every woman has something beautiful about her.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can't all be the perfect weight. We can't all be the perfect hair. We can't all be at our best all the time. We have peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're still beautiful. Like beauty comes in all shapes and sizes.
Sure does. It's just across the board. It's across the board. And so that's why I'm saying, that's why it's not a competition. And beauty is a spectrum. It is not a level. It doesn't go up and down. It goes right to left. It is a spectrum. We're all beautiful on this spectrum of wherever it is that we fall.
Right.
Okay. And that's why we need to stop looking at it as like a grading scale. That's not what it is. It is a spectrum that you go across. And because everybody finds something else beautiful. Not everybody's definition of beauty is going to be the same.
No.
That's why we don't all look like Barbie dolls, because some people don't
all look alike.
I know. How boring would that be?
You know what would happen? If the entire population looked like Barbie, what would be attractive to everybody else? Would be like, G.I. Jane.
I know, exactly.
As soon as they saw something different, they'd be like, she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
Exactly. That's the way our brains work. And that's why I love everybody so much, is because we're all just so different. And I want to know everybody. I want to be everybody's friends. I want us to hang out. Like, that's my mindset. But until you know that about somebody, they can throw you off. And for the most part, all the women that I meet and that I become friends with, there have been some, not all, but there have been some that didn't like me before that, because they weren't able to get to know me before then.
Yeah.
They had a
intimidation.
They had
factor.
a picture in their head. They had an idea in their head of what I was like, and they didn't like that. And sometimes it's because of a man in a situation. They thought I would have a problem, or I was going to take their man from them, or they're going to have to worry about. But once they realize that I'm more interested in them, I'm more interested in you and a woman than I am in this man that you're with. I don't care. Go away. Like, I don't care.
Dime a dozen.
I want to know about you. I want to talk to you,
Yeah.
And once they realize that, they're like, oh my gosh, I love you. You're amazing.
Well,
and I'm
even
like
when you started hanging out with my group of friends, and I introduced you to my group of friends. I mean, anyone that listens to us already knows this, but I mean, we always have new listeners. When Kelly is 15 years younger than me, and 14 years younger than me. And all my friends are about my age. I grew up with all these friends. And so the first time when I first started bringing Kelly around everybody was nice to her and they liked her, but they were like, she gets a lot of attention, and we're used to getting the attention.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting older and we don't get the same attention. Like, that's just life. That's just how it works. So it used to be that we'd walk in the bar and the bar would stop to look at the woman that walked in and be me and my friends, and there's a bunch of very attractive ladies, and in different ways, but all very attractive ladies, and all big personalities. So between being a big personality and being an attractive lady, and you walk into a bar, you're used to a certain level of attention. Or not just a bar, restaurant, a gas station, a car wash, whatever.
Anywhere.
Women, you know how it goes with us. And so we started bringing Kelly with us, and the attention would go to Kelly. And so some of my friends were like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I've never had this happen. you know? I'm like, bitch, we are almost 50. She is 15 years younger. What were we doing at her age? We were in our prime.
Right?
That was us. We're not in our prime anymore, y'all. It's okay. We're at the new level. We've moved to a new level.
You have elevated yourself.
We didn't level down. We leveled up to a different level.
Different playing field.
Completely.
All across the board.
Across the board. But it is a tough lesson to learn. If you are a woman that's used to getting a lot of attention, and then as you get older, you get less attention. And if you keep friends around you that are still young and get the attention, or beautiful and they get the attention, it is a mind fuck. Like, you have to understand, you have to be really comfortable with yourself to have a younger friend.
Yeah.
And
you really do.
You do. I mean, I'd like to say age makes no difference, but it does.
It does. And it always will, because of the mindset of the majority.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with Mary Lee the other day, because we go on walks, a couple mornings a week. And it's almost about 3 hour, and it's a lot of hills. And she was saying in her head, she was like, man, Kelly's just up and down these hills. She's just flying. She's like, and then I had to remind myself, Kelly's a lot younger than I am. Kelly's like 15 years younger now. I know. That's what you have to do in your brain. Once your brain starts going to some negative place,
you have to redirect it.
You have to remind you have to keep yourself in check. Everybody's got to check themselves.
Yeah. And like my girlfriends, when I said that to them, and I did have that conversation, and they weren't like talking negative about you. You know how it went.
Oh, yeah.
It was more like I could just see like they didn't know how to handle this, And once we had that conversation, they were like, "Girl, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right." Yeah. I was like, one in particular, we went to a concert. I'm not going to name names, but we went to a concert one time 15 years ago. We walk into this concert, thousands and thousands of people. This is not a small show. This is an all-day music festival with all kinds of big bands, right? So we get there. There's 6 of us, maybe, I think. I'm not even sure, but 5, 6 of us, maybe. And we walk in. We cannot walk 30 feet without everybody and their dog stopping our friend, because they either know our friend because she knows everybody in Dallas. I'm the queen of Ellis County. She's the queen of Dallas County. Okay. So they are stopping to talk to her because they know her. She also works in the service industry, so she knows all the service industry people, which is a big part of that group.
Yeah.
Or they're just attracted to her, and she's covered in tattoos and big boobs and attractive, beautiful woman, and just, and she's fun and like, you know what I mean? So we used to walk in a circle around her. She was shorter than us too. And that way no one could see her, so we could get to our destination. And then she was welcome to get up from our seats and go do what she wanted to do. But I was like, I don't want to spend an hour and a half trying to get to our seats from everybody stopping you to talk to you. And she was like, okay. Well, she was the first one to have the issue when you started hanging out. And it wasn't an issue. I wouldn't call it an issue. But she had to check herself. And she did. She checked herself.
She did.
Yeah.
And she even had a conversation with me after the fact and acknowledged it. And, not that she even needed to necessarily apologize for anything, because she hadn't done anything wrong. But she did anyways, because in her mind, there was, you know what I mean? Yeah. So she was like, all right, we got on the same page, and everything was great then. Yeah. And that was so amazing of her, and such a testament to her and how she is able to conduct herself, that she noticed when she needed to check herself. Cause that's a big thing. When you hit that, mushroom and you level up, that's awesome that you're able to do that, because not all people can.
No. And she did. And I was like, thank you for saving me this uncomfortable conversation, because it puts me in the middle of it. Right. But yeah, no, she definitely did. And it's been fine ever since then, whatever the case is. But I get where she's coming from, because this is a group of women that are used to a lot of attention.
Yeah. And I feel
not necessarily because we're all beautiful. I'm not saying that. Yes, I have some pretty friends. I think all women are beautiful.
I do too.
And I think that these women know how to dress themselves.
They know how to showcase themselves.
They know how to showcase their best assets.
Really, and that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing for all women to learn. Yeah, because you have something you have a zazazoo about you, whether you believe you do or not.
Right.
You just do, because you are a human being and you're alive, and that is a lot right there. And we undersell that a lot, because you have all of these superficial things that this world stacks up against you your whole entire life.
And they're telling you what you should think about yourself.
You lose sight about how wonderful and amazing creature that you are just to begin with.
Right.
the fact that you are alive and you're walking this earth and you have air in your lungs and you have a body that supports you, you are winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Okay. Just by existing.
And you don't even have to try.
You roll out of bed winning.
Right.
If you rolled out of bed today,
and
you're
that's
winning.
just it, is that the ladies that I hang out with, I don't think they're any prettier than anyone else I run into.
No. But pretty isn't just about the way you look. It's about the way you live.
It's about who you are. Yeah, and it's how you live.
It is your whole being. It's once you realize the power that you are, other people see it.
And we've had a few women slip into the group that didn't have that about themselves, and they didn't last.
Nope.
And
you either fall out of that or you acquire it.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes a strong woman to be a woman's woman.
It really does.
But one thing that Kelly and I talked about when we decided to have this conversation was that I think oftentimes, especially in the last 15, 20 years, people associate being a bitch with being
a strong woman.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that those things don't go hand in hand sometimes, because they definitely do.
But the thing is, I think that a strong woman might need to pull out the bitch card.
It's a card. It's not a whole
But that doesn't mean she's a bitch.
Exactly.
Yes.
The bitch is a card.
Because I got that card and I will play that shit like no tomorrow.
It can't be your whole personality.
No. And it can't be something that you use as a weapon.
No.
See, I think that if you have to be a bitch, it's because you have to be and you were put in that position.
Exactly.
But if you're Karen, that's your personality.
Exactly.
And I don't want to be a Karen. No one wants to be a Karen.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of times people associate being a strong woman with being a bitch, and that is not the case.
It really isn't.
No.
Because the thing is, a lot of people, they say that they're blunt, or they say that or I don't sugarcoat things. And okay, but that's not necessarily a good thing, because when you're a strong person and when you are just a decent person, you need to take the time. The truth doesn't always have to be painful. Okay.
Right.
You can deliver the truth to somebody in a caring and uplifting way. And why wouldn't you want to do that? Why would you want to berate somebody about something that's wrong with them, or something that they need to do different, or something that they screwed up on?
Right.
Okay. It's very easy to do that and to be blunt and to be a bitch. But what you need to do is take the time. Why wouldn't you want to build yourself up into the person who can correct somebody in a way that's going to empower them?
Well, I think too that if you take on the persona of I have to be a bitch to be a strong woman,
or to not get walked over,
you tend to attract other bitches.
Yeah, and that's why we say that.
And that's not a good.
No,
that's not good.
That's a toxic pool right there.
It is a toxic pool, and those are the women that you can't trust with your man. Mm-mm. Those are the women that you can't trust when your back is turned not to talk about you.
Yep.
Like, I need to know that if I'm talking to you, anything you feel about me as my friend, you're going to say to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I might not like it. Like, sometimes I'm going to have a conversation where I may not like what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But I know you're having it with me and not with Tom, Dick, and Harry down the road.
Right.
You're
I don't even like them.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Because that's what happens when you get a bunch of women together that aren't really women's women, and they're just because there are women that will only be friends with other attractive women that are like to their idea of beauty standards.
Yeah.
Because that's who they want to be associated with.
Mm-hmm.
I've also known women that will only be friends with people less attractive.
Yep.
And so they are the queen bee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Neither of those are healthy.
No,
neither of those are healthy. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think if that's where you are, you need to reassess.
Yes, that's not being a woman's woman.
No.
Just because you have a group of women around you that you hang out with doesn't mean that is a woman's
a healthy
group.
woman's. Yeah, exactly. Because there are women out there that are amazing, and most women, honestly, we're natural caregivers. We're natural nurturers. We're natural, like you may not have children, but you nurture those kids at your work.
Oh yeah.
You care about them. You care about their feelings. You care about, what they're going home to.
Yep.
There's a nurturing aspect to it. And obviously I have kids. That's where I am with my kids. But as women, we're natural nurturers, but we don't nurture other women.
It's not.
No one nurtures women.
I know. And why wouldn't you? Like,
the only people that understand what we need is other women.
Yeah. Nobody else is going to know that.
No.
Men don't know how to nurture women.
No.
And
they're morons.
And
No,
your kids don't know it until you teach them it.
And they don't know it till they're grown and they're going through it. Like, there's so much shit about my mom that I was so pissed about and I hated about her that now I'm like, yeah, you're a bad bitch.
It takes time.
My bad.
It takes time to learn how to do this. That's one of the reasons why I love that I'm part of the friends group that I am. And I love that y'all accept me and all of my friends, because I have all older friends. Like,
you really do.
And I do that on purpose, though, because that's the wisdom that I want to draw from. Like, I don't want to be stuck in where I'm at with the people who are on the same playing field as me age wise, because I've always felt like I was before my time anyways.
Yeah.
And so I started out just craving knowledge and craving the what comes with living and having another year on this planet, and the knowledge that you get. I want to soak up people that are older than me's knowledge like a sponge. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to see what you do. I want to learn through
you want to emulate what the good points.
I want to see, because I like to be able to learn from other people's mistakes, so I don't have to make them myself. And
I think going a step further than that, I think that you, as women, we have to make friends with people that are not always like us.
Yeah.
So, and by that, different races, different cultures, different backgrounds, different economic situations. Like, I feel like you learn so much from other people's struggles.
Yes.
You don't have to go through the struggle to realize that you can learn from the struggle.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, I have girlfriends when I was in Houston that were 10, 15 years older than me. I mean, I have you that's 15 years younger than me. I have black, white, all green, all color friends. I have married friends. I have single friends. I have lesbian friends.
Swinger friends.
Yeah, there's one or two in there.
All the kinds.
All the kinds. But you can learn from so many people, and you can build so many people up, and they will build you up. It's a two-way street.
Exactly.
I can tell you right now, if something happened to me tomorrow and I was gone, I guarantee you I have 4 girlfriends that would make sure my kids never forgot me.
Yep.
They would be there for every important moment. They would tell them what I would do and say. I trust these ladies who don't have children, by the way, themselves, would nurture my children.
Yeah.
They don't have to be their mom, but they'll nurture my children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important to have women in your life. And my mom always had really good girlfriends, and she had a really close group of ladies that really changed her life. They built her into the strong woman she was, because she was not bred to be this woman. Mm-hmm. She came from a pretty difficult situation. And these women she met in her 20s turned her into the woman she was. They built her up. They showered her with affection. They told her how wonderful she was, and they had a 50-year friendship. And I mean, I don't know how you can beat that.
No.
You know what I mean? So I would say that anyone listening that really listens, I mean, I think most people listening get how we feel about women, taking care of women. If you've wanted that, like, I mean, we had people message us saying that they like that.
Yes.
You can have that.
You sure can.
So first thing you need to do is assess yourself, like Kelly said.
Figure out where you are. Figure out where your limitations are. What is it that goes through your head when you see women? And what do you want it to be?
And change it.
And then you just daily start making those changes.
A compliment a day.
And
one person a day that you tell them how they look beautiful.
Yeah. And it can be hard, and it's okay if it's hard. And I'm not going to
honestly,
sit here,
pick the person that doesn't always get it.
That's another thing.
It's real easy to compliment the lady that comes in looking like she just walked out of a magazine. Pick the lady with the 5 kids that are killing each other in Walmart, and the woman that, bless her heart, is pulling her hair out. You don't have to tell her how beautiful she is. You can be like, you're killing it today.
Yeah, you sure are.
I don't know if I could handle this, and you were killing it.
Good job.
You know what I mean? And that's sometimes all you need.
You need me to do anything for you? That's another thing, man. Just ask people what you can do for them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always, I wish we would replace that with, when you're talking to people like, hey, how was your day? How you doing? Oh, I'm fine. And how many times a day do we do that?
Yeah.
Like, if you start replacing that with, hey, is there anything I can do for you today?
Yeah.
See, just do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Because maybe you can, and it will throw people off. Like, oh, you want to sit and talk for a second? Can I help you do anything? Like, what's going on? What's going on with you?
I even do that with my kids where I have to, at the end of the day, when you're going to sleep, you know how this shit's going through your head and everything. And so I'll lay down to go to sleep and all this shit comes to my head. It's not all negative. Like, I don't sit in bed thinking negative things. I might worry about something I have going on or think about what I got going on or whatever the case is. But I really try to think about what could I have done better with my kids.
Yeah.
Because I fail. We all fail as parents.
Every day.
And so sometimes I wasn't nice enough and I didn't give them enough grace sometimes. Yeah. And I have to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And then make a change.
Yep.
And so one of those moments, kind of like the girl complimenting me at Lollapalooza, things that pops in your head. My biggest parenting mistake with my oldest daughter, who was the easiest child. Like, this kid, easiest kid you've ever seen. I don't remember her crying. Ever. I never had to get onto her. I never had to spank her. She didn't get one spanking from me her whole life. And she didn't need it. Kid was so good. Now, she's a handful now, but she was not as a child. And, we went to HEB when we lived in Houston. We went to HEB, and she was probably 6. And she'd gotten this plastic ring in one of those machines. And she dropped it in the toilet as she was using the restroom in HEB, and it automatically flushed. And she was just devastated.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't know it automatically flushes. And I don't remember why, but I got onto her. Mm-hmm. Like, it was her fault somehow. I got onto her because she freaked out. And I was trying to lose your ring? Well, I had her brother who was a toddler at the time, and we were in HEB, and I'm grocery shopping. Just a lot's going on. And she's freaking out over this 25-cent ring that she's flushed down the toilet. And I was mad. I was mad at her. I was legit pull it together. It's a 25-cent ring. It meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
And I jumped her ass, man. I was all over it. I got home and I was like, I failed today.
Yeah.
I mean, she's 26. That was 20 years ago. I remember it like yesterday. I can tell you what stall we were in, and I can tell you what she was wearing, I can tell you what I was wearing, I can tell you what that ring looks like. Because for 20 years, and I've told her this as an adult, I regretted that day for 20 years. I jumped your ass for nothing. It was not worth that. So just like assessing yourself as looking at women and what do you think about those women, you're going to fuck up.
Yeah, you will.
You can fix it.
Yeah. Give yourself some grace too.
Give yourself some grace. You know what I mean? You got to let it go. You got to fix it. You know what I mean? And that was my parenting moment where I literally have measured that many times when I've wanted to react to other kids' mistakes or to situations. I don't want to feel that way again.
No.
I mean, I'll still jump their ass because I am a fuck around and find out type of mom.
You're going to get it.
But I try to assess it better. But I also try to apologize when I'm wrong.
That's a big thing right there. Yeah. I mean, really, because we all do wrong. It's whether
we all
or not,
mess up.
It's whether or not we want to learn from that and we want to take the time to better ourselves and admit when we're wrong. When somebody admits to me that, okay, maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe you have a point.
Right.
Maybe I didn't. That shows so much about a person's character.
It makes the world a difference.
It makes the fact that you messed up, not that it doesn't matter, but really, I mean, look where you were able to come from that.
It was a damn 25-cent ring. Was it that important? Mm-mm. Could I not have spent another 25 cents and got her another ring?
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
Right?
20 years later. Still, I'm going to go buy her a ring right now.
Go give you like another 50, 25.
Yeah, I'm gonna up it to $1. I might get you a sticker.
You know those ones that take 2 quarters instead of just one?
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, like the skating rink back in the day, man. 4 quarters and you could get the shiniest sticker of skates you've ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're real lucky, you could get like a band that you liked sticker.
Right.
Anyways, I mean, y'all get the idea. I really thought that was a good subject, Kelly.
Thanks.
That was good.
I like to try to throw stuff out whenever I can because I'm a work in progress, just as we all are.
Right.
So I was thinking about that this week and ways that I can really push myself, out of my comfort zone to do these things that you might not think make a big difference because I don't talk to people. And that's one of my big things that holds me back is because I can want to say something to a person and I can want it so bad,
but you can't do it.
But I can't do it. It's like I have another part of me that holds my tongue and it holds everything in that I want to be able to get out.
I'm the opposite, and
it happens in everything. It happens in my friendship. It happens in my relationship. It's day to day. It's a constant struggle between the two spectrums that I'm on. Yeah. And I can want to reach out and say something to somebody so bad and it just won't happen. And so that's something I've really been working on, is something as simple as a passing compliment can completely make a person's day or change their mood, for even if it's just that slight second that you give it to, even if they don't give a crap about it. That's not what matters.
So let's make a challenge for listeners. If you want to put some good out there and help other ladies or men, if you're a man, whatever, men need it too.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to give you a suggestion. Once a day, you compliment somebody, whether it be in person or on the internet.
Just say something positive. It doesn't have to be a compliment about their physical appearance.
Looks or just looks.
Just anything positive, that any kind of positivity that you can send their way, do it.
I agree.
Even if it's as small as just smiling at them in public.
Yeah.
But something.
Make a conscious decision to once a day to bring some joy to somebody's life.
Yes.
And I promise you, it will come back at you tenfold.
And then if you can do that, up it. Do 2 or 5.
It's going to make you feel better.
Yes.
It's self-serving too.
It really is. It's the best thing.
I would agree. And I'm thinking we're going to end. Are we going to end on that note?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So everybody, you got a challenge. Let us know how it goes.
I want to know.
I want to hear it.
So you get in touch with us. You can you can email the podcast at 2sidesinthetruth podcast@outlook.com.
Or you can find us on Instagram. And I'm Z Mamacita on Instagram. I'm Zada Owens on Facebook. And Kelly is
Kelly Lady Pearl on Instagram.
So, hit us up. Let us know. Message us. Tell us what's up. And we'll talk to y'all again next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We love y'all.